people, and I think one of the files that people were able to hear well in the first part of this set was when she's literally in a meeting with people, planning to gaslight me, planning to frame me, etc. Ultimately they were like, either I couldn't make out if they said make her steal that chart, like take that chart or get that chart. But so they were either talking about, manufacture a psychiatric chart against me so that I could never have any chance of quality of life. Or they were talking about frame me for stealing a classified chart from the office so they could make, false abduct me under color of authority through that way. But I mean, these are really sinister things. I mean, all I wanted to do was live a peaceful, legitimate life. And they've absolutely made sure to do everything to make that impossible. And so that's not, that's somebody that I can see how it happened, though, because from a very young age, they started really badly assaulting her and so forth, and making sure that even, right where you're supposed to be able to have your most ability to think clearly and feel safe in your home, that she never had that. I mean, it's always been, if not, quote, my father, there, or then the stepfather, or so forth. They make sure that this person is in place. They've done that.
Okay, so you've documented, your father's name on some of these templates. What can you say about what you've realized about these templates? Like, what can you give us more information on his actual work?
Well, covertly, because I remember. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I'm so sorry. It's my focus issue with the neurotoxins. That's what I started to tell you this example. Okay, so they got a hold of the person who's believed to be my mother's half sister. They brought her over from Guyana. And there's connections with Jonestown that need to be investigated. But because the person believed but not known to be my mother, her grandfather is Dr. Joseph P. Lashman Singh. He was the Minister of Health and Housing for Guyana during arrangements for Jonestown. So some of these same people and patterns keep coming up as basically fronts for these black budget operations. And I'm increasingly suspicious I might have been kidnapped out of Guyana. So my birth certificate says, that this woman is my mother and that man is my father, and I was born in Canada. But, I have one of the files that I've shared is that the person believed to be my mother has at least 3 birth certificates that her mother or the person believed to be her mother, procured for her, from 3 neighboring South American countries, including but not limited to Guyana. So, and there's also a lot of, it seems disproportionately, the medical school where my mother and stepfather went to. Apparently, it's come up with Nixium connections as well as Jonestown connections, and as well as, with my mother and stepfather, Universidad Autónoma de Guadalajara. And so this, the person who's supposed to be my mother's younger half-sister, I saw my father at the table drilling into her. She was just a young girl at that time. And he was drilling into her, let's just come up with a name. So I don't want to say her name. Let's see, like Jane. We'll just call her Jane. So Jane is a pig. Oink, oink. See this picture? See this pig? That's what you are. Jane is a pig. And I was so horrified, and I could not understand, why is this man doing that to that child? She was older than me, but not much older than me. So
yeah, I just want to just really quickly. I'm just going to interject here, if you don't mind. Nixium was it was racketeering, co-conspirators. It was an enterprise victimizing women and branding them for sex trafficking and other crimes by a cult leader or personal empowerment leader, Keith Rainier, a.k.a. the founder and leader of Nexium, was convicted by a federal jury in Brooklyn of all 7 counts of superseding indictment charging him with racketeering and racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, attempting to sex traffic, and sex trafficking conspiracy, forced labor conspiracy, and wire fraud conspiracy. And a lot of these, they're fake advocates or potential, role models, oftentimes women recruiting other young ladies for the purposes of sex trafficking, and spiritual leaders. The spiritual movement is highly infiltrated with these types of individuals, agents that are working to target and, for purposes, especially online, for purposes of identity theft, and, procuring pornography from people, soliciting online or sharing, sexual content with potential suitors through these spiritual movements online. So you want to be highly cautious.
Yes. There's a lady, I'm still going through this video, but someone pointed me to check out this video by Amazing Polly on YouTube. And she found that there's a Dr. Salzman, Salzman, out of Clifton Park, New York. She said he graduated from that same Autonomous University of Guadalajara. And so that's where, as far as I know, that my mother and stepfather met. Universidad Autónoma de Guadalajara, they call it there. And then she said also, I'm just trying to see if I could pull it up real quick, that because as I was going along, I was making notes, and here also for Jonestown, that apparently there's a doctor that this network, it sounds like really at the network, they decided to send him through that same Universidad Autónoma de Guadalajara, all medical school. I meant to say that for both my mother and stepfather and that Dr. Saltzman. And then this Larry Schacht, I don't know how to pronounce it, Schacht. And let's see if it says, I don't know if I pulled up the right place, but apparently he's a doctor that was involved in the concoction that killed so many people. It was almost 1,000 people at least, because that's what's accounted for. Whenever they account for numbers like that, for activities like this, I always wonder if there's more. And they basically, I think, really to protect, that's how much they want to protect the secrecy of these activities, that's why they suddenly killed these people, because that was right when U.S. Congressman Leo Ryan from California, he had gone there. His aide at the time, I've been meaning to check if it's congressional aid or legislative aid, but an aide, AIDE, was she's the U.S. Congresswoman for California now, Jackie Spear. And so there were a lot of people that were concerned about their loved ones that had been basically, brought from the States and over there to Guyana and, put on this compound, most commonly called Jonestown Compound. And so, but it was like the long name was People's Temple Agricultural Project. And so I believe that's what they were really doing there. There's a lot of red flags as to that,
They really will operate. They'll operate as whistleblowers, and they'll tell you exactly what they're doing. All the while perpetuating these crimes behind the scenes on their targeted victims, and nobody will believe the victims because obviously the person is a whistleblower, right?
I'm not really following.
It's like psychological warfare. It's like it's not only that, it's almost like a magic trick, if you will. I just, I was exposing, how Kamala Harris back in 2015, she founded the Children's Bureau of Investigation. Okay, I'm just going to use this as an example. Senator Kamala Harris, she's running for California governor, or vice president with Joe Biden. She founded in 2015 the Children's Bureau of Investigation, which is supposed to be looking into the crimes of child trafficking and corruption within Child Protective Services. However, under her watch and discrimination, child trafficking out of Child Protective Services has increased 85%. So I'm just using that as an example. Okay, it's like these people will tell you, and also that they also passed SB, I think it was Senate Bill, oh geez, let me look it up, for child trafficking under her watch as well, to legalize child sex trafficking. Basically, it doesn't legalize it, but inadvertently it does in a more palpable way. SB, hold on, let me look it up. I'm just using that as an example. Basically, what they do is they'll tell you publicly exactly what they're doing, and then behind the scenes, that's exactly what they're doing. Am I making sense?
You are to me, because now I know which part of their mode of operation you're referring to, but I think we do need to make it clearer for the audience if they're relatively new to this subject matter. I think, well, there's probably multiple reasons actually, but one that pops into my head, there's a lot of overlap apparently with satanic ritual abuse, which, these people also, use a lot of propaganda to claim doesn't exist, right? And that anybody who would say so must be crazy and therefore must be disappeared immediately, never to be heard from again. So, but apparently related to that, one of their, they have very few rules per se, I'm not sure you really call them rules, but maybe modes of operation or so. And one of the things is that they're, so that they can claim that they're not violating your free will, they have to give you some kind of way that you could have seen it coming and that you just kept going the wrong way anyhow. So I think that's an element there. Like they might say, you understand that once you cross into this door, into this secret club, that, you might not be allowed to leave until morning. And you're just like, and you're so curious and whatever, and you don't think they're planning to do horrific assaults on you or something like that. So you might say, oh, sure, okay, so they warned you. So they'll call everything that they did to you, not a violation of your free will. You chose to allow that to happen because they gave you some warning and you still walked through the door.
Wow.
Now I found this article. It's by Houston Press. The reporter is Craig Malisow. I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Oh, I usually like to find out before if I know I'm going to say somebody's name publicly, but sorry. So it's Malisow. It's a January 30th, 2013 article called Jonestown's Medicine Man. And it's talking about that Larry Schacht. Well, another last name. I'm not sure if I'm butchering that. I hope not. And, that's interesting. It links to another related article called Larry Schacht, the Doctor of Jonestown. So they're saying that this might be, he's one that went through Universidad Autónoma de Guadalajara Medical School, and they mention in this article certain personality traits that he had, psychological profile basically that he fit, that they thought that were being sought by whoever sponsored him, because he didn't just pay for himself to go. He was sponsored to go. And from what I heard, I believe that's what happened to my stepfather as well, that he was interestingly sponsored to go to, through medical school at Universidad Autónoma de Guadalajara. So let's see here. I think I was going to play this file quickly here. Because I see we're running out of time, so sorry about that. I guess I'll go ahead. Is it a good time to play this part? I think you will be able to hear it well. I'll have it on speaker.
Ahead. I'd like to try to find somebody to isolate the audio on these recordings.
Oh, yes. I'll definitely help to coordinate, and hopefully we can do that. But this one is a different category in a way, audio quality-wise. I think we're not going to have the same trouble, meanwhile, with ones like this, because this is one where he wanted to be heard, So it's the files where, you're having to, try to catch them, and they don't, you're catching, or like what